Kern Valley State Prison, located in Delano, California, would first open its doors in 2005 and is home to over 2,800 minimum, medium, and maximum security inmates. On October 14th at around 2:55 p.m., two incarcerated individuals, Roland Corona and Luis Weasel Alvidrez, allegedly would attack another incarcerated person, Isaac Soldier Boy Duran, with inmate manufactured weapons. Isaac Duran sustained multiple stab wounds and was transported to outside medical for a higher level of care. Sadly, after almost a month on a ventilator, on November 9th at approximately 9:14 p.m., he was pronounced deceased while under the care of medical staff at Kern Valley Medical Center.
And authorities with the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation are investigating a Kern Valley State Prison inmate death as a homicide. Officials say two inmates identified as 57-year-old Roland Corona and 33-year-old Luis Alvidrez allegedly attacked inmate 41-year-old Isaac Duran with an inmate manufactured weapon October 14th. Duran later died at Kern Medical. On November 9th, both suspects have been moved to restricted housing pending an investigation.
We established a major presence in the Central Valley. X marks the spot in southwest Fresno's back alleys. Gang wars playing out on the streets, announced by graffiti.
X3 signifies 13, which is the number associated with Surenos.
The Gang of the South is creeping north, according to federal agents, and marking its territory in areas formerly controlled and graffitied by bulldogs and norteños.
They decay neighborhoods from the inside out. They make it unsafe in a lot of areas for kids to go outside and play.
Homeland Security investigators took note and took action. Fresno, in Sanger, and in the rest of the valley, they went into Sureno strongholds and looked for reasons to make arrests. A warrant for destruction of property got this alleged Sureno locked up, and similar scenes played out across the country. The Department of Justice says Sureno membership is expanding faster than any other gang in the country. Murder, extortion, and drugs are their currency. Project Southbound is the response, the largest operation of its kind by Homeland Security. Federal agents arrested more than 600 people with Sureno ties. Most of them now face criminal charges. The rest are being deported. If nothing else, the gang is on alert that police are watching them.
The Surenos are a significant criminal organization. They're a transnational gang that's a priority of HSI and law enforcement in general.
The Surenos originally formed in Southern California, but they have spread all across the country. The arrests in this operation came in 179 different cities as far northeast as New York. From the newsroom, Corin Hoggard, ABC 30.
In the South Valley, dozens of gang members in Tulare County are now off the streets following a 5-day operation by the Gang and Narcotics Enforcement Team. CBS 47's Pedro Quintana shows us what investigators seized during the sweep.
Well, deputies here at the Tulare County Sheriff's Office usually respond to gang shootings during that holiday. Sheriff's Office being proactive, they conducted a gang sweep across the county that led to 30 people being arrested and several guns taken off the streets. Tulare County streets around the county cracking down on known gang members in a 5-day operation.
This year we took more of a proactive approach to try to deter some of the shootings and things that normally occur on January 1st.
Deputies taking 15 guns off the streets, including bullets and crystal meth. Some of those guns were semi-automatics. They also arrested 31 people, most of them known as gang members.
Anytime that we can take any guns off the streets, that's always a big plus for us, especially when it comes to these gang members.
Tulare County Sheriff's Lieutenant Gabriel Marcia says this past weekend's crackdown was a high priority for the Sheriff's Office. And the Sheriff's Office will be using forensic testing to make sure those guns they recovered were not used in any other crimes. Reporting in Visalia, Pedro Quintana, CBS 47 Eyewitness News.
San Diego police now reporting about a 16% increase in shootings all across the city this year compared to 2019. And one of the latest shootings in San Diego happened Saturday night, resulting in the death of a 16-year-old boy. Our Kelsey Christensen is live outside the San Diego police headquarters where she spoke with police about that uptick in gun crimes. Kelsey.
Hi, Maria. As you can imagine, police say really any increase in gun violence is concerning, especially at 16%, and they want to assure the public that they're taking it seriously. It was just last Saturday night when one of San Diego's latest shootings left a 16-year-old boy dead in a driveway in Lincoln Park. The San Diego Police Department says it's one of many shootings this year as they're on the rise. The latest police data shows a near 16% increase in assaults with a firearm this year compared to 2019. That's anything from a shooting to being hit with a gun. There were 345 assaults last year compared to 400 in 2020. Both sets of data are from January to September months. Lieutenant Sean Takeuchi calls this a big increase.
Well, absolutely.
As for the why?
It's the magic question that everyone wants an answer to. Why? I wish I had an answer for you. I don't know.
However, the lieutenant says San Diego police are encountering more guns on a daily basis, which ties into the increase of gun violence. He says the spike in gun violence here in San Diego echoes a national trend.
I am reading reports that other large cities are also seeing an increase.
Nationally, this year brought record high gun sales. And according to data by the Gun Violence Archive, mass shootings across the country have increased dramatically this year. Now, police say they're continuing to work hard to keep the community safe. Now, another interesting statistic here is despite the gun violence increase, San Diego police say homicides have not increased this year. For now, reporting live downtown, Kelsey Christensen, Fox 5 News.
What's going on, you guys? Welcome back. Another episode of Green Lit Gang TV. Much love, much appreciation. Thank you guys so much for checking out the video today. Thank you for checking out the channel. If it's your first time here, I really hope you enjoy the video. It means a lot that you are checking out my channel for the first time. If you are someone who have watched my videos over the last year and a half, you already know it means a lot to me. I am nothing without the people that continue to support this channel. Before we jump into it here, please hit the like button. Please leave a comment, engage in some conversation. And lastly, subscribe. It means more than you really do know. Again, thank you to everyone out there who has shown me love. So we're going to be going to November of 2023. We're going to be reading from an article that was written on November 11th, 2023 from the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation's website about an attack that occurred on October 14th. Of 2023, and we're going to jump right into it here. So, California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation officials are investigating the death of an incarcerated person at Kern Valley State Prison as a homicide. At around 2:55 p.m. on October 14th, two incarcerated people, Roland Corona and Luis Weasel Alvidrez, allegedly attacked another incarcerated person, Isaac Soldier Boy Duran, with an inmate manufactured weapon. Duran would sustain multiple stab wounds and was transported to outside medical for a higher level of care. Sadly, after almost a month on a ventilator on November 9th, 2023, at approximately 9:14 p.m., he was pronounced deceased while under the care of medical staff at Kern Valley Medical Center. No staff or additional incarcerated people were injured other than Duran during this attack. Both suspects had been moved to restricted housing pending investigation into the case, and an investigation is being conducted by the KVSP's Investigative Services Unit, the Kern County District Attorney's Office, and the Kern County Coroner. The Office of the Inspector General was notified, and the coroner will eventually determine the cause of death. Even though we've already been over this in other videos, we already know what it is. It was from those multiple stab wounds Isaac Soldier Boy Duran would sustain. Duran, 41 years old, was received from Tulare County all the way back on April 17th, 2003 to serve a life with the possibility of parole for 2 counts of attempted murder in the first degree with enhancements of intentional discharge of a firearm causing great bodily injury, assault with semi-automatic firearm, and street gang activity. While incarcerated, Duran was sentenced in Kings County to serve 12 years, 4 months for 2 counts of assault by a prisoner with a deadly weapon/instrument, 3 counts of possession and manufacture of a deadly weapon by a prisoner, and battery on non-prisoner. Corona, all of 57 years old, and I watched a couple of videos on a couple different channels. We're going to get into those. The first one we're going to be talking about, whose channel I watched, is Hector Bravo. He has an awesome YouTube channel. Go over, check that out right now. He was an ex-Marine, ex-military individual who became a California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation prison guard, and he's got an awesome YouTube channel, so go over and watch that. But I heard him make a comment when he was talking about this case, and Corona, you know, right now he's pushing 60 because this was a couple years ago. 57 years old, man, still active. Like Bravo said, man, you should just be kicking back, relaxing, doing your time in peace. But he is getting down with the homies. He's getting down with the younger guys. And yeah, he's not slowing down by any means. So, Corona, 57, was received from Fresno County on June 4th, 2003 to serve life with the possibility of parole for robbery in the first degree with those same kind of enhancements. Use of a firearm, burglary first degree with enhancement of use of a firearm, false imprisonment with the enhancement use of a firearm, vehicle theft, receiving stolen property, criminal threat to cause great bodily injury or death as a third striker. That's very, very important. While incarcerated, Corona was sentenced in Monterey County to serve 12 more years for 3 counts of, quote, possession, manufacture of a deadly weapon by a prisoner. Lastly, Alvidrez, 33, and I said that Alvidrez earlier. No, it's Alvidrez, 33 years old, was received from San Diego County on June 1st, 2017 to serve an 18-year, 4-month sentence for 2 counts of second-degree robbery with enhancement of personal use of dangerous or deadly weapon, and 2 counts of second-degree robbery as a second striker. While incarcerated, Alvidrez, was sentenced in Kern County to serve 5 years for possession, manufacture of deadly weapon by prisoner, and assault by prisoner with deadly weapon or force likely to cause or produce great bodily injury as a second striker. Okay, so I did a lot of research on this video. I'm not kidding. I rewatched Hector Bravo's channel. I watched another great channel from a guy who personally knew Soulja Boy. That was Renegade Media. Go over, check him out right now. He is awesome, has a wonderful, wonderful channel, wonderful page, wonderful content, well-spoken. He's a great storyteller. I encourage anybody to go check him out. I was able to get some very good information off just listening to him talk. But I also read a lot. So if you can't already tell with their pictures, it's kind of hard to identify their gang markings. Now, okay. I want to make sure I get this right. Isaac Duran was a Norteno gang member out of Tulare County. He was a beloved Norteno gang member. After watching Renegade Media, after reading articles, after reading comments, he was a beloved Norteno gang member out of Tulare County. And it was widely known and understood, and this is important for everybody to know, that Isaac Soulja Boy Duran did not commit the crimes that he was sentenced to all that time for back in 2003. He did not commit those attempted murders. It was his younger homies that did it. He was there. He didn't do it, but he took the rap. And I was reading through comments on another one of Renegade Media's. I watched one of the main videos where he really talks about it. He tells it's like violent, or could have been violent, but it's a funny story about a handball game that Soulja Boy was involved in. But I clicked on another video where he talks about him, and there's a comment that a guy did time with him, a fight kicked off, him and the homie were in on violations, and instead of them getting violated and doing more time, Soulja Boy took the whole rap on that. And it just kind of tells you the kind of guy he was. And whether you like him, you hate him, you have to respect him. And at the end of the day, that definitely seems to be what Soulja Boy was all about. Was, again, whether you liked him, whether you thought he was too much, too violent, because that's why he ended up on one of these SNY yards, and we're going to get to that in just a minute, was he didn't deal with the BS. According to Renegade Media, he'd been removed from mainline after he got sentenced for all that, like 3 times, because he just wasn't going to be told what to do by another man. He was going to stand on his own 2 feet, and he was beating up cellies, rolling people out, and after a while, they don't just let you keep coming back. Eventually, you're going to be placed on like a security threat group yard. So Isaac Soulja Boy Duran ends up on this SNY yard. All right, it's a designated security threat group. He's having issues with his fellow Norteno gang members. He's made it very clear to them through his actions that, hey, I'm not going to follow the rules. You guys are not going to just tell me what to do. Because if you watch the Renegade Media video, there is a certain kind of lingo. There's a certain kind of terminology. There are expected very tight rules you are expected to follow. It doesn't mean you're not solid. It doesn't mean you're not someone who's put in work. It doesn't mean you're not someone who has a lot of respect. To clear that up, because that's kind of what I thought. I was like, oh, well, if you're on this, then you lost all respect. Now, technically, you are a dropout. Technically, you can't walk mainline with your fellow Norteno gang members, because they deemed, and administration deemed, hey, you've beaten up 2 or 3 of your cellies. You've been beat up yourself. You've been stabbed. And apparently Soulja Boy had a scar on his forehead that he would kind of wear as like a badge of honor. So he ends up on this SNY yard. He ends up on this SNY yard with Roland Corona, who's 57 years old, and Luis Weasel Alvidrez. Now, Weasel, we're going to really talk about him for just a second. Now, the face tattoos on these guys are all Corona doesn't have a lot of them, but Duran and Alvidrez, they do, especially Alvidrez. He's got the just like black ink on both of his cheeks, but if you really look closely, you can see the 2-5 coming through there. So he's a 2-5er. That's a Sureño gang on an SNY yard. That's an SNY Sureño gang. Before he got onto the SNY yard, Luis Weasel Alvidrez was an NS Colton Sureño gang member from San Bernardino County. Now, really quick, I'm going to give a quick definition on these guys. The Colton Sureños refers to a Sureño street gang faction operating in Colton, California, way down south, within the San Bernardino County area. Sureños are a broader group of Mexican-American street gangs known for their origins in Southern California. The Colton Sureños are a part of the broader Sureño network and are recognized by law enforcement as a criminal organization. They, like other Sureños, are often associated with the Mexican Mafia, La M, the infamous Black Hand, which we've talked about a lot on this channel. Please go check those videos out. I think you guys will really, really like them. Okay? So, that's what Alvidrez is a part of. Now, Corona, also a Sureño gang member. If you look really closely at his face, you can see the 1 teardrop on one and 3 on the other, the 1-3 Sureño gang member. I was not able to get a ton of background information on him. He went into the system in 2003, which is the same time Isaac Soldier Boy Duran went into the system as well. But regardless, they are all on this SNY yard. All right? Now, Isaac Soldier Boy Duran, he's a Norteno gang member. He gets onto the SNY yard. He becomes what's called a Northern Rider, okay? That's basically an SNY, a dropout gang on these SNY yards. Alvidrez, he becomes a 2-5er, an SNY gang, a dropout gang. Originally he's a Sureño. He's from NS Colton, but now they're on this SNY yard. Now, I'm going to read this. I found this, well, it's a couple paragraphs on more of a breakdown of SNY yards, the gangs that occupy those SNY yards, and just how many of these gangs, they're all over. They're all over. So let's just kind of jump right into it here. Over the last 50 years, the CDCR, IGIs, have become proficient in identifying and segregating prison gang members and security threat groups into security housing units. This has somewhat reduced the power of these violent groups and lessened their control over other inmate populations. They have disrupted and dismantled important criminal groups and their leaders operating in and out of the prison system. They are cooperating with local, state, and federal law enforcement investigators and prosecutors. But over the last dozen years, partly due to this effort and partly due to power group rivalries inside the Big Four, the California prison gangs, the CDCR has presided over the unprecedented wave of 30,000 prison gang members and their associates who have dropped out of these prison gangs. That is a crazy number. These frustrated, defecting former gang members have become disillusioned with prison gang politics and have sought protective custody. CDCR has pledged to protect these inmates from their former gangs. The dangerous defectors are screened and debriefed by CDCR staff and placed into protective custody facilities or SNY yards. Whole sections of some facilities have been set aside to house protective custody inmates, but space is extremely limited in California's overcrowded prisons. That is to say the least. The sheer number of dropouts, jail informants, and other, quote, softies is what they call them, who need protection, has taxed CDCR's ability to properly protect all these inmates. But I don't agree with all that because there's nobody going to tell me that Isaac Soldier Boy Duran is a softie or that someone like even Alvidrez is a softie. Now, I will say, and if you guys know more information, please comment down below when I read that they have to debrief. I did not know that. So does that mean you're snitching? Does that mean you're telling? Because the first thing I watched and read and watched on like Renegade Media's channel or even Hector Bravo's channel was, hey man, this guy, for Isaac Soldier Boy Duran, we're going to stick with him for a second. He was just beating up his cellies, not willing to go along with the strict rules that the Norteños had set up for him. And he's like, I'm going to stand on my own 2 feet. That's why he ends up on this SNY yard. But then I read something like this, and it's like, well, he had to do a little bit more than just be deemed, hey man, you can't go along. To get along, we got to get you out of here. I really want to know what you guys think because I'm really torn when I read this kind of stuff. Okay, we're going to continue to read here. The growing number of gang dropouts being placed in SNYs has resulted in numerous new gangs, like what we just talked about, okay? The Northern Riders or the 2-5ers, new gangs forming and warring with rivals on the SNYs. Gang violence has grown so bad that some SN inmates have asked to return to mainline yards rather than continue to face the SN gangs on the SNY yards. That's crazy. SN gang activity has been identified, now check this out, has been identified on 32 of California's 33 prisons. The Pasitas and the Northern Riders are not alone. Remember, Isaac Soldier Boy Duran is a Northern Rider. There are dropout gangs in 32 of the 33 California prisons. Here are just a few others identified by the CDCR staff. 187 Ride or Die, Against the Grain, Bad News Banditos, Ballers and Gamers, Brothers by Choice, Cutthroat Family, Down South, Dropout Squad, FTS, Full 60, Gay Boy Gangsters, Independent Riders, Little Unity, Mexican Outfit, Nueva Flora, New Flower, Player Cub, Presidents, Red Hand Mafia, Skins for Life, Sucker Free, and Money Gang. These SN gangs operate inside and outside of prison. So they've established their presence on the streets just like a normal gang. They can be mixed racially and structured in a looser, less rigid hierarchy. And like I just said, members often flip in and out of active membership, but they can be just as dangerous as any traditional prison gangs. Sometimes SN gang members pose as Surenos, Nortenos, Crips, Bloods, or AB NLR members because that's what they were. And I think that's where stuff gets really, really confusing. But again, Isaac Duran was viewed as a beloved, solid gang member who was willing to go all the way with it, willing to go all the way as far as violence, putting his work for his hood, taking charges for guys. So it's a real catch-22. It's a real, kind of what side of the coin are you on? In my opinion, Isaac Soldier Boy Duran seems like a very, very solid guy. Not that my opinion matters. I'm not saying he was solid all the way throughout. Again, when I read that part about what it takes to get onto an SNY yard and how you have to debrief, I'm kind of at a loss for words. I don't know really what to say to that. But if someone who's watching or listening to this knows more, please comment down below. I love being educated. I love having the conversation. Now, really quick, I was able to find one article back in April of 2003, which really breaks down the initial crimes that Isaac Duran was sentenced to 120 years to life for back in 2003. He was only 20 years old at this time. And you just kind of think about just your choices. And, it's just kind of a sad story. He's 20 at this time when he gets sentenced. And here we are, 20, 21 years later, and his life was taken. He lived a very hard life. He lived the life of a gangster. And, he ended up paying for it in the end. But here we go with the article. Isaac Duran, 20, of Farmersville, California, was sentenced today to 120 years to life in state prison for his role in a gang-related attempted murder with multiple victims. Duran was convicted by a jury trial that commenced on February 24th in Department 10 of the Visalia Division of the Tulare County Superior Courts. The trial was presided over by the Honorable Judge Melinda Reed. On March 4th, the jury returned a verdict finding Duran guilty of the willful, deliberate, and premeditated attempted murder of 3 separate individuals. The jury further found it to be true that Duran used a firearm during the commission of the offense, injuring 2 people. The jury found the allegation that Duran committed the offense for the benefit of a criminal street gang to be true as well. The charges resulted from an incident that occurred on December 8, 2001 in the city of Exeter, California. 3 victims were standing outside of a residence talking when approached by Duran and 4 other Norteno gang members from the city of Farmersville. They call it Farmas. Okay. During the altercation, Duran and his associates questioned the victims about their gang affiliation. The victims were, in fact, not gang members. Upon the victims denying any gang affiliation, now again, this is according to court paperwork and what he basically, he didn't fight him on. Duran pulled out a .380 semi-automatic firearm and fired multiple shots at the victims. 1 victim was struck in the chest, another was in the leg, and the 3rd victim was unharmed. Duran and his associates ran from the scene. But it's well known, apparently through multiple things that I read, multiple comments, multiple videos, that this is not what happened. And again, go check out Renegade's media channel. I even made notes right here. It says what he says is it's known in Tulare County as being innocent. He didn't snitch. He took the rap. He did not break. He stayed 10 toes down. And check this out, though. He did have a really interesting piece of information. He says the guy who apparently did the shooting showed up to county jail sometime after Duran had been charged and was bragging, kind of joking about it, like, hey, that one that Soldier Boy's up there doing the time for, doing the bid, got convicted of, that was me. That was me. And apparently, his fellow Norteños did not like that, especially with how much they respected Soldier Boy, and put a beat down on him that left him severely injured. Checked him very, very hard. Renegade Media is the one that talks about how he'd been removed from mainline 3 times. That's how he ended up on the SNY yard. And, yeah, man, just a crazy, crazy story. You look at somebody even like Corona, who I didn't have a lot of background information on him, but he's 57 years old, man. I mean, you're almost, he's going to be 60 now, and it's like you're still jumping in the fray with guys in their early 30s, just killing a guy for really no other reason other than just gang rivalry. And it seems like, when I watch a channel like Renegade Media, who's got a really good insight on stuff, and I watch a channel like Hector Bravo's, things kick off over the smallest stuff. Renegade Media was talking about the handball game where he thought, he said things had been chill for a couple months. They'd kicked things off with the 2-5ers. And then all of a sudden, he's like, oh my God, this handball game is going to cause another riot. A handball game is going to cause another riot. But I do know enough and I have watched enough content to understand that in there, respect and money and all that is just everything. You can't emphasize that enough. It's everything. It's everything that these guys have is their name and their hood and the respect and the reputation that they built for themselves. Whether you agree with it or not, it's everything to them. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this. I really hope I did a good job of representing this story and representing Isaac Soldier Boy's Duran life and how he was viewed. But I'm also going to talk about the other side of things where it is an SNY yard. And I want to know your guys' opinion on kind of what I read about what it takes to end up on an SNY yard. I want to know what you guys think. So please comment down below. I will continue working hard on these videos. And until next time, you already know what it is. Peace.